you both for the introductions. We'll switch over to the actual debate questions from ACEC. And without further ado, we'll actually take turns in who responds to the question first. So once again, I'll start with my left with Devin. He'll respond first to the first question, and then Ryan, you'll respond first to the second question. However, you will still get your response to the first question as well. All right, Devin, the first question goes to you. What is your vision for GAPSA?
Well, it's really the key question. My vision centers around capacity, building capacity. I've said it before, I'll say it again. GAPSA is a council of councils, and its primary role is assisting the 9, if we can get dentistry to start showing up, councils to be able to grow and build and support their constituents as best they know how. But again, also, it's important that GAPSA be able to be a support organization and help kind of solve problems that no one council can attack. I think that my service in the General Assembly of GAPSA has led me to develop those relationships, to be able to have those discussions with presidents, with GAPSA senators, and across the university. I think we really need to reevaluate our mission and our vision and think about how we serve students. Are we doing it equitably? Are the programs that we're funding serving as many students as possible? Crisis is sometimes an opportunity, and I think that the funding issue we have here is an opportunity to really evaluate what we do with money. We have GAPSA has an important role as stewards of university funds paid by you and me to be good stewards and to think clearly and concisely about equitable service. And so I'd like to be having that conversation. I also think it's important that all the councils receive as much time as possible. Across whether it's vet med or it's COGS, we need to be working with each of them to, as I say, grow their capacity and be talking about how they're represented at the university. So that's what I'd like to see happen. And I think I have the relationships to be able to start having those conversations and collaborating together with the councils.
Thank you. Ryan, rebuttal. No? Okay, the question is then to you. What is your vision for GAPSA?
So I think that along with what Devin said, and Devin did hit on a lot of great points, that this GAPSA is in part a council of councils, but it's more than a council of councils. It's an organization that provides the one student voice for graduate students at the University of Minnesota. It's an organization that has the ability to really leverage the power of the students at the federal and state levels, especially on public policy issues, certainly within the university, in order to really bring the voice of the graduate students together and working with the administration to increase our role in the decisions that are made here. Last year, many of you are the ones of you that were here last year. You know that it came out, didn't really include any students, but Provost Sullivan and President Brunick tried to shut down the graduate school. And those are things that we need to work and make sure that any decision like that happens or that may happen, that we're in the room. We're at the very least, we are notified and we're part of those conversations. Now that didn't happen last year, and that's something that I've been fighting for the last 2 or 3 years at this university. And I think that, bringing the councils together, establishing best practices within them, helping them engage all of their students, because before GAPSA can really go and engage the students, we have to get them engaged with their councils, and bringing the councils together so we have a forum, so that if dentistry is having trouble getting someone to come to GAPSA, well, maybe the Pharmacy College Board can come out and say, well, this is what we've done, this has been really effective, and this is how your students can have as good a voice as ours and as much of a seat as the table as everyone else. And so I think that it's about collaboration, but I also think it's about leveraging the student's voice in a way that no one council can.
Thank you. Devin, rebuttal?
Not so much a rebuttal. I do just want to take the time to say I think there's a great point there that GAPSA is a singular voice. I think that's important. I think Christy has done a great job laying that groundwork over the last couple of years. I also think that my relationships that I've built as the Vice President of University Relations here for COGS puts me in a position to be able to be having those conversations. Obviously, President Brunick is leaving, but at the same time, we need to be able, whether it's Vice President Fitzenreuter when it comes to finances, or Kathy O'Brien when it comes to university services. I'm well positioned to be able to be in those meetings because I'm already there. I've got the relationships. I'm sitting down and working with these people. And I can walk into their office. So I really think that I'm well positioned to be able to do just that.
30-second rebuttal.
Thank you. Well, I mean, as far as the relationships, I was in Kathy O'Brien's office yesterday. I mean, I've been building these relationships for 3 years. It's not like I've been here for only 6 months and I'm just getting my feet wet. And I've been meeting with CFO Fitzenreiter for 2 years. I mean, these are relationships that I'm not just establishing now, I've had for years. I was the student senate president last year. I represented every single student in this entire system. I've been meeting with these people even before that. And so, I don't know how much time I have left, but 15 seconds, all right. And as far as within the councils, I've already been meeting with council presidents throughout this campaign, and one thing that I'm hearing from them is I'm the only person reaching out. I'm already having the conversations with the council presidents. It's not that I will be able to do it or I'm going to be in a good position. I'm doing it now, or I've already done it.
Okay. Excellent first round of questions. The second question, I'd like the candidates to kind of turn around and look at the screen for a second. It pertains to the empty rooms there. How will you increase interaction between the Duluth, Rochester, and Twin Cities campuses? And the question goes to Ryan.
Great question, and I think that that's an issue that is of utmost importance, as you can see. I've been representing students from UMD and other schools in our state for the past 2 years as student senate president. I represented both Duluth and Rochester, and we had better turnout when I was student senate president. But and also, as the board chair of a statewide nonprofit that represents 8 different schools across the state, I've dealt with this before. And as anyone that was on Senate last year and 2 years ago, you saw that we went from struggling to find quorum, the year before I got there, to barely an empty seat in the room. And so, I think that I went up to Duluth last week. I'm already engaging with students. I already have contacts up at UMD that are graduate students in these programs. I'm already reaching out to them. And I think that just utmost importance is that they feel like they're a part of this organization like everyone else. They need to feel included. They need, even if they can't make it down here for every meeting, even if they can't even be in those rooms, but as long as they feel included and that they're a part of this organization, I think that that is what matters most, and I think that that will result in better turnout and a better sense of community within GAPSA as a whole.
All right. Devin, move on.
Like Ryan, I represent graduate students up in Duluth and elsewhere. I was actually, and I do have to say, it seems that this problem is sort of a GAPSA. It's not always a GAPSA problem. We have great turnout at the coordinating campuses during our actual meetings. I went to the Pharmacy College Board meeting today. They meet weekly. There are about 50 of them who meet weekly, which is just unbelievable. Talk about best practices. And UMD was there. They were there on, they had them on CTV. It was unbelievable. So I think that there are groups that are doing this. I think we need to be having that discussion more. It seems like we sort of note that there's no one on the screen, but then that's where the conversation ends. Like I say, I think there are best practices that we can be working with the councils who are turning out people well and finding that out. I love working with people like Ben Olson who are up in Duluth now and talking more about that. I think that that's a conversation that needs to be happening beyond just GAPSA across the university about how we can get the coordinated campuses to be feeling more a part of a system rather than the Twin Cities versus.
All right. 30-second rebut.
I went to the Pharmacy College Board meeting last week, and absolutely, that is the premier case of best practices that I've seen, at least. They had just as many people up in the room at UMD as they did down in the Twin Cities, and everyone was buzzing. And you could feel the energy in the room, and you could see it through ITV. As hard as that may sound or seem to be, you could feel the energy from Duluth, and you could see it. And when I went up there this past weekend, I had students coming up to me that I had never met before, and they said, "Oh, thank you so much for coming to the Pharmacy College Board meeting. We can't believe you're up here. This is great. We barely see this."